Hello there, and welcome to the As Time Film Podcast, where we talk film, TV, games, and all that jazz like there's no tomorrow. My name is Tom, and as always, I'm joined with my co-host John.
I'm here. Hello, everybody.
Wow, you're here. Well, I mean, you're in the internet somewhere.
Yes, I'm in the internet. Ooh.
You are in the netherworld of the Force.
Yes, the netherworld, the nether.
Oh, I like it. Welcome back, everybody. Hope everyone is good. Today we are going to be talking in our main segment of Man of Steel. We're going to be continuing our Zack Snyder. Continuing our Zack Snyder Extravaganza and starting Zack Snyder's DC trilogy. We are 2 weeks away from the grand event, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Extremely exciting stuff.
I'm pretty excited, everything that's happening in the past few days has been exciting.
It really has. We do have some news on that, but yeah, we're also we've only got one piece of news, but there'll probably be a lot to talk about. It's a lot of Snyder Cut news, and then we've also got the series finale of WandaVision, which I know you're really excited to talk about that, John. Spoiler alert: we didn't like it. But yeah, I guess we'll time codes in the description so you can bounce around. But let's start with something.
Yeah. You can bounce to out when we just go to that timestamp when we just cry about WandaVision. It's just
10 minutes of just uninterrupted tears.
Just go there now if you want that content. Yeah. So anyway, what's the news of this week?
The news of this week is we have one piece of news, and it's all Snyder Cut news. So we've got some. So first of all, Zack Snyder was part of IGN FanFest and did a 45-minute video where he answered questions about the Snyder Cut, and he did say that the Snyder Cut is going to be ending on a cliffhanger, which would obviously lead into Justice League 2, which he did emphasize is not happening. But, it could happen. Now, what do you think? What do you think about this? Assuming that Justice League 2 isn't going to happen, what do you think about a cliffhanger ending?
Oh, I think a cliffhanger is good because I think it allows maybe other creators to continue Zack Snyder's ideas of the DCEU. You know what I mean? Like to lead up what could happen after this whole 4-hour film. To continue the journey, you know what I mean? Yeah,
you could definitely take some of the more modern stuff, some of the kind of stuff they've been bringing in with Shazam and Aquaman and stuff like that, kind of bring it to that kind of tone rather than what Snyder's been going with. But I mean, I know that if they made a Justice League 2 and it wasn't a Snyder film, people would get very, very upset.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to to transition from if someone has the idea of making Justice League 2, or I don't know if they have the idea to do it, it's kind of hard to catch to transition from Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder, one of the best directors, and then I don't know if anyone can have that transition of that visual storytelling to another director. I don't know. That would be a really good challenge for them.
I think Joss Whedon proved that it's not easy. Everything that Zack Snyder does is very deliberate. He has a plan. All the dialogue, all the shots, everything is put there for a reason, and he wants to tell this very specific story. It is difficult, even if you look at other superhero team up films, it can go really well and it can also go really badly. So I mean, I think if it ends on a cliffhanger, I would love to see.
And
the next one.
I wonder if the cliffhanger is going to be the most the epicenter of something about to happen. Maybe I don't know, Flashpoint. I don't know, or maybe a character dies, or I don't know, Darkseid. Maybe.
Well, it is interesting because this won't be setting up anything that would have happened now. It's setting up. Oh, I got an email. It will be setting up things, from 2016, 2017. So I am interested it is going to be interesting. I'm very excited. I don't think I mind too much about cliffhanger. You know, good stories can end on a note that leaves it open to the future, but it doesn't necessarily have to have a sequel. You know, I think stuff like, you know, Back to the Future. You don't have to have a sequel to Back to the Future. Because that film ends on open-ended, but it's perfect, you know? Obviously, the sequel's great, but, like, you don't need that sequel, you know?
Yeah. So I wonder what's going to happen. So,
Me too.
Yeah.
But some interesting details about what is going to happen. We have got the chapter title. So this film is no longer a 4-part miniseries, but it is split into 6 chapters. So I'll read them for you now. So the first is called Don't Count on It, Batman, and then The Age of Heroes, and then Beloved Mother, Beloved Son, and then Change Machine, then All the King's Horses, and then Something Darker. What do you think?
This is going to be really exciting, because this is such a different comic book. You know, like usually comic book movies they like to hype up something like with trailers or with promotion, but this is so unique because Zack Snyder's like he's giving out chapters.
This feels like an experimental film thing, you know, like this feels like a Pulp Fiction technique. Or I've seen so many, like Tarantino obviously is a director who does chapters and really enjoys doing chapters. You know, think City of God, like the amount of films that I can think of that have chapters. It's not something I would expect to find in a comic book film, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and the really cool thing about like in comic books, like they have chapters, to you know like. To start a new story or to continue the story, but these chapter titles, they have like really interesting things, like interesting ideas, like Something Darker at the end of like,
right. That's interesting. In the 4th original Justice League trailer, Bruce Wayne says, "I had a dream. It was the end of the world. I think it's something more, something darker." So I wonder if this final chapter will see. Maybe this is where we see the Nightmare Vision. Maybe this is where the Nightmare Vision becomes true. There are so many ways this could go. I mean, think about the very first one, Don't Count on It, Batman. That feels like a classic comic book, you know, like the name of a comic book run. Don't Count on It, Batman. That sounds like so much fun. You know, The Age of Heroes. I mean, that seems like it's going to be the history lesson. Beloved Mother, Beloved Son. That could be a whole load of things. You know, Cyborg's mother and son, Superman, mother and son, Batman. You know, Change Machine, where Superman comes back. There are so many possibilities, and I love how it's reinventing, you know, our notion of what the film would be. Yeah,
and they also so with the chapters, it's so different, which I love it. So I can't wait to see those chapters. Be like, oh my god, this is crazy. So I cannot wait.
Definitely. And then we have two teasers that we got this week. We got a Batman teaser and a Superman teaser. I mean, we'll start off by talking about the Batman teaser. What do you think?
The Batman wow. That is like the one true Batman you see. Like he's standing on the Bat tank or something.
Yes, it looks like it's the Bat tank, straight out of Dark Knight Returns from the comics.
So out of that comic, and I love it. And you can hear the voices that you hear.
Yes, well, this is,
and you hear Darkseid's voice.
Yes, Darkseid does say, "I will come for my great prize." I think it's super, super interesting that this isn't, obviously both of the teasers came with great music and great shots, but they're not focusing on spectacle, they're not focusing on action. For me, these two teasers, you know, we'll talk about Superman 1 in a bit, but this Batman teaser is about the character development, you know. One of my favourite lines is Alfred says, "Your guilt's overcome your reason." That sounds so interesting. You know, we're going to explore the fact that Batman, you know, spent a whole film going over the top and doing things that he would never have considered, and now we're bringing it back to the Batman that we know and love. You know, that there's just so many things that just make me so much more excited. I know that you'll love Lex Luthor says, "If you want the Batman, here is something that can help you." That looks like it's a clear Deathstroke setup.
Oh yeah, Deathstroke. Oh, he's gonna. it did say that in the FanFest that Deathstroke might be helping Batman or become allies in the Nightmare sequence.
I do think that would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool, and then that could set up like I don't know, like maybe like there's going to be like a fight maybe somewhere in the DCEU in the future, which I'm.
That would be great. We love Deathstroke here on the Outside Film Pod.
I even got the Deathstroke comics. They're really cool.
Oh, nice, good, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like there are just so many really, really cool like lines. Like there's an amazing one from Martian Manhunter where he says, "I have a stake in this world, and it's time I started fighting for it," which is interesting. That kind of seems like it explains why he hasn't been like fighting in Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. Obviously, General Swanwick is Martian Manhunter, we now know, and he is in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. But it's interesting, like that now, like it seems like he has a reason why he didn't fight. And you got the Joker laugh in there. Diana said, "Hate is useless." There are just loads of cool things in the Batman teaser.
But the most impactful for me was like hearing Darkseid's voice.
Yes,
that is the most scariest thing that I've heard.
It is terrifying.
Claim for my prize, bro. This is going to be so amazing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It really does sound cool. And the end, you see Superman lifting Batman up to the rest of the league. Superman smiles at Batman. Batman smiles. It's wonderful. It really does look like like this is the Justice League. This is the comic book Justice League, and we're coming back to that kind of part that the original kind of comic book, the thing they've been building towards. It isn't the characters who are unsure of themselves. They now know who they are, and they are heroes. I love it.
Yeah, and I feel like Justice League, the Snyder Cut will be like Zack Snyder's Justice League. There's so many names. I feel like this is going to be like the film that really explores about superheroes, and then like the full circle about like the way they're helping each other, or the way they want to help humanity, and it's going to be really unique because Cyborg's going to be the heart of the film, and it's going to be interesting to see a character that we don't normally see a lot in movies or something like that, because I feel like he's left out a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see that in like with interacting with characters a lot more, and with character developments, and see how there's like a full circle, and like seeing Batman getting pulled up with by Superman. It's going to be really interesting to see that from BBS. So yeah,
it does feel like the culmination of everything. It's what they promised all those years ago when they announced Justice League, when they announced Batman v Superman, when we knew that this was all building to something. It feels like this is exactly what they promised us, and that just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So go on. No?
Right?
Okay. So let's talk about Superman teaser now. So again, some really nice shot of Superman walking through the old Kryptonian ship with a load of suits coming out. You got the original Superman suit. You got some of like the space exploration ones. Looks really cool, but as always, some really, really cool lines. The world is mourning, grieving over a symbol. That's Martha says that. Barry says it's like they were afraid of him, which might be in reference to the nightmare scene or something. Bruce says, "I made a promise on his grave." And one of the things that made me very excited was Jonathan Kent saying, "Fly, son, it's time." So this seemingly confirms new Jonathan Kent dialogue or scenes, and I love that. I think Jonathan Kent is one of the best parts of Man of Steel.
I'll talk more about Jonathan Kent in the Man of Steel, because I feel like that he's the most impactful like character to the film, but Superman as well. But I'll talk about him.
I love that it isn't as simple as Justice League, where Superman comes back, is evil for 2 seconds, and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna save the day. It's like, no. He still has a journey to go on. He says in this teaser, they wanted me back for a reason. I need to find out why. And that is really like, that really feels like, Superman isn't, he doesn't just come back and is like, all right, get straight back to it. He has, there's still a dilemma within him, and that's good. We'd love to see some Superman developed in new and interesting ways.
Yeah, in a realistic way, because in the Justice League, the way he came out like, "Hey guys, it's me," punch.
I like truth and justice. Woo!
Whoa! And I don't have that weird CGI.
Oh god, the mustache. Release the mustache cut, please.
It's a mustache. But yeah, it's just like he's like, "I'm back from the dead." Oh, punch! But but like in this film, we actually see like the characters like think about the way of like coming back from the dead, and that's why really weird for them to come back from the dead and be like, like hearing Jonathan Kent's voice saying "Fly, son," and that would be really I think that would be a powerful scene.
Yeah, we've got some real heart wrenching stuff coming our way.
Yeah,
and I'm very excited.
Yeah, very excited. I think today will be. I think someone tweeted out the character, like the character teasers.
Yes.
Someone tweeted out Aquaman, and it's got the symbol.
Cool. Oh, brilliant. I wonder because as it stands right now, as of the time we're recording this, we've got 12 days left. So are they going to do one every day? Like that sounds really like who are 12 characters they're going to use? But who knows? I mean, if they are doing it day by day. They've got 4 members of the Justice League left, and then maybe like Darkseid and Steppenwolf. Who knows? I just hope, as always, I hope they don't give away too much. I don't want to see Green Lantern if there is a Green Lantern. I don't want to see Martian Manhunter. I want to be surprised by that stuff.
I think he will just show like the original members. I think because those. I think they're just enough to take everyone to get interested or to see those characters that we see on the big screen or the small screen.
Yeah, it is a difficult one because it's like, I see stuff and it gets me more excited, but at the same time I'm like, but no, it's all very excited at the end of the day, even though I might be a little bit cautious about seeing everything.
Yeah, I am a little, the one quote from the video game, it says, "Keep your expectations low. You will be much happier." Because
right, that's a very good point. I mean,
yeah.
We're about to talk about one.
But this is Zack Snyder, so I'll keep my expectations in the middle because this is going to be a 4-hour film.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, we're about to talk about WandaVision. I mean, if you've been on Twitter, you'll know that the fans had their expectations very high.
I mean, we had our expectations high because this is what like the episodes that we saw, and it was going directing like that.
Well, that's a good kind of jumping off point. Let's talk about WandaVision, shall we?
No, please, I want to talk more.
We've got to do it, John. We have an obligation. We made an oath. We swore on a picture of the Queen. That's a reference to being between us.
Okay. Oh yeah, the audio. Sorry for the audio. If you're hearing like this weird Skype thing,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so. We got a comment last time. Oh, thank you for 1,000 views on the 300 video, by the way.
Yeah, for 300, that is insane.
It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did get a comment saying that the audio's a bit weird. I've turned you down a little bit to see if it gets better, but
yeah.
We'll start off simply. What did you think of the WandaVision episode?
Okay. Where do I begin?
Well, I want to just say to you, remember when Monica, Darcy, and Jimmy were all characters? When they had, like, anything to do in the plot. Remember that? Like, I just want to say, like, this episode totally eradicated the need for Monica, Jimmy, Darcy, Hayward. Like, half the characters who weren't, like, part of Westview were just not relevant in this episode.
Oh, yes. Well, those were the days when we thought they were just standing characters, but no. Wow, I thought they could be something to add in. I mean, Jimmy Woo, Darcy, and Monica.
It feels like they were they had Monica in there for the sole purpose of setting up Captain Marvel 2. Yeah, it just felt like that they were like, okay, so we're gonna have her in it just for this. She'll get her superpowers, and then she can set up. Mid-credit scene, we'll have a Skrull in there. Blah de blah de blah. It really just felt like that they were just like, here you go, I guess, because it wasn't like their role didn't. There wasn't any like maybe they had a little bit of action. Darcy got to hit Hayward with a bus, which isn't as satisfying as it sounds.
Yeah,
but it was set. It felt like that they could have had a huge impact on the characters. Like it. I mean, I could just list off all the reasons why it would have been better if Wanda was the villain. But I mean,
it would have been so much better.
Yes.
But like the direction it was taking, it was definitely telling us that Wanda's going to be the Vision. But oh no. Agatha Harkness comes out and going like, it was me all along.
Yes, and Agatha, she's such a.
I don't. Okay, so
she's such a one-note villain.
Like the character. The character is not really impactful. No. She's just there like, I'm going to take you with your powers, and then she just becomes a regular civilian. At the end,
she's the thing that I felt is that Agatha is a plot device. She's a catalyst that makes Wanda reveal her true potential, but she doesn't really challenge Wanda's views. She doesn't make Wanda question herself, not really. Wanda already had that kind of internal conflict about hurting the people, but that was more realized through Vision than it was through Agatha. Agatha really was just there to have a little bit of action, and make Wanda, have her new outfit and stuff. I thought the new outfit was fine, by the way.
Yeah, the outfit's okay. It's not that amazing, but I mean, I just wanted to say. Oh, and another thing. Link back to that costume was that the episode where they were getting ready for Halloween. Wanda was dressed like that, and I thought, oh, they might be not using that because that could be like for the like an episode for fun,
yes. Well, I think we said in our review a few weeks ago, they were like, oh, this is so ridiculous, and I was kind of like, oh, don't make fun of it, embrace it. And I think they did kind of embrace it, but I would have preferred a more red. I think the design of it looks good. I would have preferred it if it was like smack in your face red, like Spider-Man or something. Be like, boom, it's red,
Yeah.
I would have much preferred that.
It looks good. I mean, it looks. I think it is perfect for the character, but it looks good.
Yes, I must say, I much prefer the White Vision. I think the White Vision looks really cool.
Yeah, the White Vision is really cool. But yeah, I was just let down with everything that was leading up to because there was the most disappointing scene I've seen in TV history. It was no, not the worst. Sorry. There's other worse.
It was definitely up there. I know which one you're talking about. Are you about to reference Mr. Ralph Boner?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, okay, fair enough. Everyone did think that it was going to be Quicksilver from the X-Men universe, but they specifically made such a big deal of his inclusion. They had Evan Peters walk in, and it was a huge moment, and they ended the episode specifically on that cliffhanger. It just felt like they were baiting us, kind of like in Far From Home, where they put the multiverse in the trailer, so everyone thought there'd be a multiverse, but it was just all a fake out,
Yeah, I feel like they're just doing the joke and the joke again. It's just getting boring, right?
Well, it was. The whole thing was very strange, It was another, Monica didn't do anything in the episode. It was just her and Ralph just kind of there, just oh.
And another thing that I didn't really like is that somehow Wanda just goes, oh, everything's okay. Oh, let's go back home and let's put Westview back to normal.
Yeah.
And then it didn't really impact her. I thought that would be really devastating for her because the children. Oh yeah, the children are gone. And the Vision that she's been living with and she created, I thought that would be a really massive impact because like there could be like one scene where Wanda just loses her mind, and then that could have like destroyed Westview or something because that would be like set up for the villain. I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting because she obviously tries to close Westview once, and then Agatha's like, you do that, you're gonna kill your family, and she doesn't do it. And then later on in the episode, she's just like, oh, well, I guess I can kill them now. It felt so random. But I will say, I did really like that final scene. I thought it was I do not care for the kids, but I thought it was very well done how they said goodnight to them and said goodbye. And then how in Vision's final moments he said, who am I? And she's like, you are exactly who you need to be, and I love you. And I thought that was great. But that's the perfect way to end Vision in the MCU. But now you've got this white Vision who is just out there. Like, it feels so random that they'd give Vision such a perfect ending, and then have this other Vision, still played by Paul Bettany, still having the exact same memories, different look, but same memories, pretty much same person.
Same look, different look, but same memories.
Yeah, it's like, well, why have you done this, like, really emotional scene where Vision goes, and then have another random Vision out there? The white Vision made no sense. He was just something for Vision to fight. I did like the scene where he was like, but think about this intellectually, and White Vision was like, oh my god.
The Theseus?
Yeah, something like that. I thought that was interesting, and it makes sense for the character, but he was only there to provide some action, and it didn't, like, action can be great when the action has an impact on the plot,
And another thing, guys, a cool thing that I thought about, like, the season finale was, like, what if like Vision was like him enforcing himself to get out the force, get out the hex, and it just like destroyed like the way that she was living, because I thought that would be really impactful because when Vision was like really angry at Wanda for like for doing this in episode for when Quicksilver came in for the cameo.
Ha 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 ha! Boner.
And I thought that would be really a cool thing to do, but it's just not there because it's the season finale and we've all seen it. But that could be a really cool moment. But no,
it just felt like a whole load of action. Agatha being like, ha ha ha! You can't kill these people, and then it just being like, oh wow, she used the rune thing. The rune thing was so random as well. It's like they were trying to do something really clever from before, but the rune thing was like one moment. It wasn't a recurring thing. It didn't even like really like impact Wanda that much. I wouldn't even remember the runes if it wasn't in the season recap at the beginning.
I didn't even remember the runes because I think there's got to be like MacGuffin somewhere in the TV show, because that could really surprise us, a moment that we could think about, like, oh, what if Wanda does this or does that, but no, we did not remember the runes because the runes was not that interesting.
Yeah, it felt like they wanted the emotional core to be with Wanda and Agatha, but it really wasn't. And everything else wasn't, like, they had Hayward and the sword people coming out for like a 2-second obstacle, like, and at the end, I don't understand why will Hayward get arrested? He is the head of Sword, which is an established government facility. He's fine. He like, there's no reason why he'll be incarcerated. If anything, Darcy will be the one incarcerated for trying to hit him with a bus. You can say, oh yeah, he tried to shoot children, but A, they're not actually real children, and 2, there's no evidence that he did that, I don't understand his character at all. In the long run, he does nothing but tell everyone that they're wrong and create White Vision, which could have been filled by any other character, He just felt like he had such little impact, and it was so, like, the ending was like I almost swore then, like a terrible version of The Incredibles. Like, oh yeah, the family teams up to fight like something bigger than them, but they weren't even that good at it, like, it just feels like The Incredibles without any kind of setup.
Yeah, and I feel like but like with the team up, I feel like that's just completely wasted because like the cool things they would have done is like what if like Quicksilver was free from Agatha and not being boner?
Comedy.
Oh, comedy. Yeah, so that would be a really cool one to have like Quicksilver team up with the Chosen to fight up against Sword, but Sword was like that there was like 15 people there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Quicksilver, in Wanda's eyes, Quicksilver is her brother. She doesn't know that it's just some random guy. So, like, why doesn't she care as well? She doesn't say a single thing. She doesn't, like, even be like, oh, hey, I wonder where Pietro went. Oh, well. She doesn't care at all. And that didn't make any sense to me. His character just felt like he was thrown in there because they wanted to leave the Agatha reveal until, like, episode 7. And so, like, who are we going to have? Well, let's have Quicksilver. Oh, we can't get the original actor back. Okay, let's say it's just some random guy being, controlled by Agatha. Oh, great. It just, none of it makes sense to me. It just feels so ham-fisted and formulaic and boring, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you think of the 2 end credit scenes?
Okay, the first one I wasn't too excited for because it's a Skrull. Yeah.
They did the exact same thing that they did in Far From Home, just being like, "Oh, a Skrull. You like that, right?" I was so surprised that I was so expecting Doctor Strange to show up.
Yeah,
like,
I was
especially
because that could have been like a really really good way to continue that from WandaVision to Doctor Strange, but no.
Yeah, I was like, especially in the second one, I was like, oh, she's in the mountains, oh, she's in a cabin. Doctor Strange has got, like, this makes so much sense, and he wasn't there. Like, yeah, she was reading in her astral projection, they played a little bit of the Doctor Strange music. I guess the kids are trapped inside her or something. It kind of felt like, it left the doors open for her being a villain, but I just was so confused why Marvel wouldn't take that chance, because I totally expect them to take a chance, set something in the future up, but hey, I kind of respect them for not doing it.
Yeah, but okay, so as a series, it's not very entertaining or something to watch, like worth watching your time, unless you're just watching it for Doctor Strange 2, or I don't know, for other...
Yeah, what would you... Final series tally, what would you give the series out of 10?
A 4.
A 4, right, okay. I'm gonna go 5 or 6, because at the end of the day, I could just switch my brain off and watch it and find some level of enjoyment out of it. But from a critical perspective, I think I would agree with you, a 4 or a 5.
Yeah, it's just like the direction it takes. I mean, it does have great stuff in it, like the moments where Wanda gets mad at Monica saying, "Oh, Ultron didn't."
I think episodes 3, 4, and 5 were so good, and I think if all the other episodes had been that quality, like I think the end of episode 9 was like similar, like when Westview closed and Wanda and Vision said goodbye. That was as good as episodes 3, 4, and 5. I just wish everything else was that quality too.
Another thing that really bugged me was, when Hayward said that Wanda took Vision's body and somehow reanimated him, but no, she created Vision from her mind. So
yeah, it's such a strange lie. I don't understand why. Yeah. Like I guess they wanted that.
I'm just gonna blame the writers for that, because they could have done something like really unique here. Because like in the end of episode 4, I believe, when Monica gets kicked out. I don't know. We see Vision as a dead body or something, because that could be really cool, because
that was something that really went nowhere.
Yeah, like controlling Vision's dead body, because that could be messed up.
Yeah, but it wasn't, and it feels like Hayward was literally just there to bring in White Vision, a character who again didn't do anything. It just feels so weird that they made all these things to make us like excited for the next. It feels like every episode was only there to make you excited for the next one until the finale when they were like, "Oh God, we need to tie this together," and they just threw out a load of action and CGI spectacle with one good scene.
And another thing they could have done with WandaVision is that they could have Ultron.
Yeah, they could have brought in like a whole like slew of things to kind of like Ultron has a connection to Wanda. It would make sense that they would have a kind of bit of.
But that'd be a really cool thing to torment her, like
Definitely.
Something to bring back to the past, and so that could have been a really cool thing, but they just decided to use the formula again for something that isn't really worth watching or something to be excited about. And I was telling my dad about WandaVision, and he was like, "Oh, really?" Well, the first two couple episodes, it was slow, and but leading up to 3 and 4, it was very interesting to see what was going on. But then from there, when Agatha revealed that she was the villain all along, that's when the series decided to take a downfall from that, and it was just. It's just not a really fun thing to watch, I believe. But
here's hoping, and I do really hope that Falcon and Winter Soldier is really good, because I can't take another WandaVision. I can't do it where they give me something really interesting and then they make it great, and then it just falls so far, and I'm like, oh well, what have you done?
Yeah, and I feel like maybe Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I hope it does take a different approach, but I feel like it's going to be like a buddy cop thing. I don't know.
Here's hoping.
Here's hoping, but which is coming out days before Snyder Cut.
It's the day after.
Day after.
Yeah.
Right.
So we actually have an episode coming that weekend, but we're not going to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're going to talk about the Snyder Cut the whole time.
Yeah, we're going to talk. There's going to be a whole
episode definitely
dedicating to that. So tune in for that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry for sounding really sad, because this is just like a show that could have done really.
Well, hey, look, there's a playlist on our channel where we talk where with all the WandaVision reviews in. If you go in, and watch all of our reviews, you see us get like less and less, more and more, and then less and less and less excited until here, where we're basically just crying for 20 minutes. But John, it's okay. You know why it's okay?
What? Why?
Because we can talk about Man of Steel now.
Yeah,
we can talk about Man of Steel. Let's go, Man of Steel. I love this film. I love it so much.
Let me tell you, this film is one of the best comic book films I have seen in my life.
I love it.
The music, the acting, and everything that Zack Snyder does with like the characters, and made them so impactful with like everything that was going on. Like, you can also feel emotions with like Zod as well, because you can understand why he wanted to create Krypton, and in his intentions as well, and you understand Superman, and it's just well done, and there's some really powerful scenes, especially from Superman and Jonathan Kent, and we will be talking about Jonathan Kent and why it's like the most impactful thing for the story of the narrative of Superman, Man of Steel. Sorry,
it feels like the perfect way to bring Superman into the modern era. It doesn't do what, let's say, like Amazing Spider-Man does. It doesn't try and like change, the character. It puts the character in a new situation. What if on Superman's first day he had to deal with the government, aliens, like whilst he's still trying to figure out who he is. And I think, you get much more into the political side of it when it comes to Batman v Superman, obviously, but I think it's a really nuanced way to kind of pull back the curtain and be like, what if the Man of Steel wants to be just a man. You know, like what if his struggle is that he doesn't want to be the god? If in Superman the movie 1978, Superman goes to the Fortress of Solitude. He spends years learning about himself, who he is, and then he's just bam, he's Superman. He's like, okay, great, let's fly away and save people, which is cool. That works for that film. But I think it's interesting that this film is immediately like, well, no, maybe Superman doesn't want to be Superman. Maybe he just wants to know who he is and then live his life on his own terms instead of helping people and saving people. He has this kind of whole journey throughout the film where he's stuck between two worlds. Is he Kal-El? Is he Jonathan? Clark Kent? Is he Kal-El or is he Clark Kent? And at the end, he has to make that choice.
Yeah, and it's really different because it's about like a man. Kal-El being on Earth and it really really portrays like the Lois Lane and Daily Planet concerned about Superman, and I feel like that's the most realistic thing about the film, about like seeing Superman as a god and seeing what can you do, and that works that works really well because it leads up to BBS. And like the media is like the main antagonist for the film, but as well as like Luthor for BBS, but which works really well, and it's learning about Superman, like what does he want to do? Like he learns about his father's steps and the way that he didn't want Earth to be like Krypton, and he wants Kal-El to be greater than the people in Krypton because it was like a bit corrupted, or
they show Krypton as what it is. It's not a good place, from the beginning of the film, you see the Krypton, kind of similarly to Earth. Krypton is muddled by bureaucrats. Whilst Jor-El tells them the simple truth, guys, we are going to die. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to die. I'm going to be fine. Like even when Zod, takes them by force, they're like, oh, just put them in the penis ships. Those ships look like penis. I'm sorry, but like. It's interesting in Superman 4. I don't know if you've seen Superman 4, but I haven't. But I know that when Superman, there's a scene where Superman goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and then he speaks to the Council of Krypton. In those films, Krypton isn't a bad place. Whereas it's interesting that Superman. There's so many interesting so Superman is the first natural birth. And. Krypton are so, you see this through Zod, they are so obsessed with blood purity and, this kind of like, this perfect race. They kind of draw parallels to the Nazis in that kind of way. And it's really interesting that Superman, there's a really great quote from Jor-El that goes something like, what if a child wanted to be something more than what society intended of him? What if a child wanted to be something greater? Zod, he even says, I was bred to be a warrior from day one. What do you have? And Clark shows that he has, the kind of the humanity and the passion that you need. The film isn't called Superman, it's called Man of Steel, because at the end of the day, it's about a man who goes through like struggles of a human,
Yeah, and so moving on to Jonathan Kent, I really think that he's like the most impactful because like the way he teaches Kal-El, teaches Clark about the way of like living on Earth, and it's really an interesting juxtaposition because on Krypton, if he lived on Krypton and if it wasn't exploded, he would have been a little bit different, the way, because it was corrupted, or the way it was like living, the way that you first live in there, like it didn't give out like a lot of lessons, but like the way that Jonathan Kent did, he gave out lessons, like taught Clark how to be hero, or how to be someone who is worth living. And the most emotional scene I really think is that when he he wants Clark to have his identity to be private, and when that tornado scene, so he wanted to protect Clark, and he just said no, just stay there, and that really teared me up. I was like, wow, that's just a real hero right there, because he wanted.
It is. He's at the center of, Jor-El says, Clark, you can be this ideal that the people of Earth strive towards. You can be a symbol, that they can one day join you in the sun. And Jonathan Kent is like, similarly, he's like, you shouldn't be wasting your gifts on things like, just some things as simple as, obviously, in the end, Superman, does save people, but it's not as simple as just like saving one man, or beating up bullies who beat you, or like saving a load of school kids. It's not that simple. You shouldn't just be that. You have a purpose. Jonathan Kent believes that the Superman has a purpose here, and that obviously when Zod comes, he's kind of forced into this perspective. And in that moment, loads of people have criticisms of the whole tornado thing. They think, if Jonathan Kent has a heart attack, it's the one thing that Superman can't save, which that makes sense, in the classic kind of version. But I really appreciate how in this version, Jonathan is like, listen, what is important right now is that you save these people, and I'll go get the dog, and you save your mum, you help everyone else, and he does. Yeah. And then in that final moment, obviously the dog's fine, thank God. But Jonathan looks at him, and Clark steps forward like, I can save you, I can do this, and Jonathan, it's so beautiful how he just puts his hand up and he's like, no, it's not, I'm not important enough, you have to keep your identity hidden until the moment when you can come forth, until the moment when the world needs you, not the bus of school kids, not your own, ego to beat up the bullies, not to save me. You need to wait until the world needs you, where the world is at the position. And then the point when there is at the position, my favourite moment, maybe in any superhero film ever, and I've tried to explain this to people, and sometimes I've ended up crying because I love it so much.
Let's take it baby steps, okay, Tom?
At the end, right, when Clark and Martha are walking in the graveyard, right, and Martha says he would have been so proud of you, and Hans Zimmer starts to play the Man of Steel theme, the simple piano, like absolutely beautiful motif, and Clark says, I just wish, he just says, I just wish he could have saw it, and Martha says, he saw it, Clark. And then it cuts to young Clark with a bloody like a cape around his neck, and he puts his hands on his hips, and he has the classic Superman pose. And in that moment, Jonathan sees his little boy, and he thinks to himself, this kid will accomplish wonders. And the music, oh my God!
You're tearing me up, man. You're tearing me up.
I am so it's so emotional, and I think that this film brings the emotions incredibly well.
Like that is such a classic comic book moment. I don't know. It's just the score and the way it's slow motion, and like I think it also references like that dog. Like the dog that could be like a superhero dog. What was it?
Crypto.
But that'd be a cool reference.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously everyone has their own like interpretations, and many people think that Man of Steel isn't what Superman should be. But I do think that in this film he embodies hope, and he embodies having a purpose.
Yeah, and when Lois says, "Oh, that S, what it stands for?" and it's like, "Oh, on my planet it stands for hope," and she said, "Oh, that stands NS." For something, and that's really also a really good scene. Like Superman explaining about the S symbol and the way it links to like the character, and Superman, because a lot of people were criticizing it about like, oh, can Superman be a bit more lively? Can he be a bit more, I don't know, like what he did in the comics? But Zack Snyder here, I think he wanted to have it on a realistic scale. I keep saying realistic because he does it really well.
Yes, he does.
And he thinks about the character carefully in these scenes. And there was a lot of criticism about the fight in Metropolis, and but that is supposed to be really interesting to watch because because you can see like Zod trying to use without his suit.
Well, that's Superman Day One as well. You know, he doesn't have any experience at this point. I think it's interesting that you speak about the scene with, you know, where he explains the symbol of hope. You know, he presents himself to the people of Earth, you know, as this godlike, you know, people criticize like, oh my god, it's all like Jesus imagery, and it's like, well, what he's doing in these moments is he's presenting himself as this savior, and obviously in Batman v Superman you see that he doesn't want to be the savior, and that's a really interesting thing, but ultimately a conversation for another day. But it's interesting how, you know, like, so there's that amazing shot where all the army have their guns trained on him, and the camera pans up to the red boots and the cape blowing in the wind, and then it cuts to Superman, a low angle shot. You know, he's so powerful, and you see the sun behind him, and he's just like, you know, listen, I want to speak to Lois. I know you've got her here. Don't toy with me. I'm like, you know, he doesn't want to be Superman, but he gives himself this presence. You know, he lets the people of Earth handcuff him so they feel safe, and he tells it to them as it is. You know, there's the really wonderful you know, moment where he goes to the priest, you know, in the church, and he's like, I don't know what to do, and the priest is like, listen, I could not tell you what to do, but you should take a leap of faith. You know, it's like Spider-Verse. You know, you don't know when you're ready. It's a leap of faith. Then the trust part comes later, and I think that is really, really wonderful. An amazing moment where Superman says to Lois, "Thank you," and she says, "For what?" And he says, "For believing in me." And she said, "It didn't make much difference in the end." And he said, "It did to me." I think, like, you know, on a similar note, Lois Lane's character is such a good, you know, way of like the third kind of perspective. You've got Jor-El, who says you should be the symbol to humanity. You know, Jonathan Kent, who's also like, you shouldn't be out there with this. You should lead. You know, you shouldn't be Clark Kent up there. You need to be the symbol. And Lois Lane being like, you can literally, you know, you should be. I can tell your story and let it be known, you know, that you're out there and you're here to help. And I think the journey of Superman, you know, like learning to be Superman is what makes this film and Batman v Superman and presumably Justice League, is what makes it so interesting.
So, and seeing like a character who really started off like in the DC comics, and I think Zack did like a really interesting like move to have Superman like the start of the DCEU, and to have him like the epicenter of everything that yet to come for the Snyder Cut, and it's just like a perfect example of how to create like to do something well. Man of Steel does that really well, and it's such a good film, like with the score, and the performance from Henry Cavill. I forgot his name for a second.
No.
So like, he just makes it so believable to be like Superman, because it is really hard to have like an idea that you're like that have these powers, but he does it really well. You know, like in behind the scenes, he does workouts and he does like screen, and I think that's really hard for actors.
He is extremely buff in those films. It's very satisfying to see, I must say. But yeah, you're right. Henry Cavill, he does so well at, you know, presenting himself as, you know, a struggling, you know, person who doesn't know who he is, and also like presenting himself as Superman to humanity. You know.
Yeah,
it's wonderful. The whole film, I think it's beautiful that the film starts with Superman's birth. and that's kind of that's what it's all about, like this very like emotional like moment, this kind of like very birth is a very like personal kind of moment for the family, and the fact that it's done in such a like a tender way, with Superman being born, and the music, as you said, the music starts off slow, and then as soon as Superman's born, it crescendos, and then it introduces Krypton, and gets going with the plot. But the fact that it starts at such a slow, beautiful moment is just, I love it.
Yeah, and the moment that my favorite scene, also like the ending scene of like young Clark and Jonathan and Martha seeing them like having a great time. But my favorite scene was when Jor-El, or when Clark was getting ready to fly.
Oh,
like,
man!
Moment.
What a scene!
That is so good. So there's so much stuff to talk about. And another thing that I'll talk about next week is for BBS is the mirroring between Batman v Superman as Man of Steel. It's really interesting to see how you can see the juxtaposition between them, and it's really, really clever how Zack Snyder thought of them and thought, let's do that, because that could be a really interesting way of like showing Earth and Krypton, but like the way that he did is just really well, and it just works beautifully.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Zod. Let's talk about the villains in this film.
Yes. So Zod. Also, I think he's one of the best villains because he had intentions, because he wanted to have Krypton back, because that was his home. And
definitely, you see that he feels so strongly about it. I think it's a very good idea to establish him at the beginning. A man who he's right. He has reason to believe what he does, but he goes a bit too far with his blood purity and doing things like killing Jor-El. But at the end of the day, he just wants his home back. There's a very, very amazing moment where you see Zod kind of snap. Like he tries to reason with Clark so many times throughout the film. They have fights and stuff, but he does, he wants to and there's the moment in the ship where he says, if you destroy the ship, you destroy Krypton, and Clark says Krypton had its chance before choosing Earth over Krypton and destroying the cradle. And I think that is the moment where Zod loses it. I think Michael Shannon brings an incredible presence to the screen. You really get the feeling that he is this like force to be reckoned with. There's a moment at the end before they have the final fight where he takes some dust in his hand and he just says so quietly, "Look at this. We could have rebuilt Krypton, and you chose this, this ball of mud over what could have been a great society, and I think he's done so well. He has a physical presence.
He did a phenomenal job, Michael Shannon, and he did the role really well.
Definitely.
And he did like a way of like I don't know. He's just like what you said. He does have like a strong presence, but I feel like he has that the way that he brings on screen. A way that you understand the character, but he has different intentions, and you feel sorry for him, but like I don't know how it's hard to explain, but you know what I mean. Like he wants to resolve conflict between with Clark, and just to understand why he wants to have this world like Earth, but then you understand both of the characters. Like Clark wants to keep humanity, he wants to save humanity, while Zod wants to save Krypton and its people. So you can see pairing so well, and it's just really well.
Definitely, and they introduce him so well. The first time you see him before since the opening on Krypton is, he takes over all the screens with the whole "You are not alone" message, and it's pretty terrifying. You know, like the fact that he shuts everything down, and to everyone on Earth, he is like, hey, you know, like, you're not alone, and we're gonna, you know, like, if this guy doesn't present himself to us, you know, we're gonna come with reckoning force. And they do. I mean, let's talk about the final fight in Metropolis, the much controversial final fight in Metropolis.
Yeah, I feel like that is the fight that everyone was critiquing. Yeah, like the fight between Zod and Superman as well, and yeah, it's just really interesting to see that. Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I think on its own, the criticisms are valid. You know, they do destroy a whole city. Fair enough. I think they take that concept and they really, really they make it so much better in Batman v Superman. They make it a literal point that, hold on, Superman has destroyed a whole city. This dude is dangerous, and, you know, he has to abide by rules, which obviously we'll talk about next week. I think especially towards the end, it does get a little bit over action, and I'm a little bit like, okay, you cut out a couple minutes of this, and it wouldn't. There's a lot of, you know, people trying to. You know, it's two unbreakable beings trying to break each other unbreakable objects. I get it. What I really appreciate about, you know, the Smallville scene, the Metropolis scenes, is that Superman, you know, Zack shows the people on the ground, you know. You've got Perry White, Jenny Olsen, the other guy whose name I forget, but the workers of the Daily Planet, you know, they see the world engine. They see the catastrophic events it has, and they're all running out the buildings, and everyone's running as it all, like, you feel like you're part of it, you know. It feels more like, okay, so Avengers Assemble, where, like, they cut to people being saved or people in danger, unlike Infinity War, where there isn't, like, a single person in peril, you know. Like, obviously the main characters are in peril, but it doesn't feel like they're saving anyone, acting as heroes. Whereas in Man of Steel, you really feel like a really, really powerful moment is where Superman he's in the Indian Ocean, and he's in the middle of the beam in the world engine, and he raises his fist, and he's got like you know, like, there's so much energy like going into him, and he's shaking, and the score is swelling. And meanwhile in Metropolis, you know, Jenny Olsen's stuck under the debris, and Perry's looking at her like, I can't lift you, I think we're gonna die. And they look at each other, and Superman like has to like smash it and destroy it all. And I think you really understand the stakes, you know. Zack says that, 5,000 people died in Metropolis. And I think you really feel that. It's not... I don't think it's supposed to be a good feeling. You know, Superman saves the day, but obviously, you know, it's not... You know, on his first day, he has to make that decision. He has to learn what lives are worth by, you know, the sacrifice of so many, and obviously the death of Zod. I mean, like, the death of Zod at the end is another real controversial moment. I think that people are like, oh, well, he could have done anything. He doesn't have to snap his neck. But I think it's about what it represents. The fact that Zod isn't going to stop, and that Clark has to make, you know, he has to choose Krypton or Earth. You know, he's already destroyed what's left of Krypton, and he has to make the final decision to kill Zod.
Yeah. That was a long explanation. I wish.
Thank you.
I want to give out more, but you did it really well, man.
I apologize.
No. It's just like, it's really passionate that we're talking about Zack Snyder, and I feel like that. That is really fun to talk about, like, Zack Snyder's films, and yeah, it's just like really interesting to talk about like the way he does like to these characters, and about like Superman saving the day, but also he sacrificed one of his people that survived.
Yeah, definitely, like, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like Man of Steel is like also misunderstood, because a lot of people are critiquing the wrong things. Like,
yeah, definitely.
The fight scene. Oh no, Superman's not that strong, or he's just like that. But it's just thinking things logically, and thinking what the director wants to have. Like Zack, he wants to have the characters to be impactful, to make you think about the way their intention, and he wanted to deliver it so well, and the score and the cinematography. it's just so good, and I just don't get why a lot of people just hate Zack Snyder's films.
Yeah, I think every scene, every moment has a meaning behind it. And it all comes to this point where Superman doesn't feel like he belongs. He's constantly picked on people as a kid, and even there's an amazing moment in the bar where he's telling the guy to leave, and then the guy pushes him, and Superman's like a brick wall. He doesn't move at all, and the guy's like, oh, and then he obviously smashes up his truck, and he spends the whole film like not knowing. And I love how the final lines of the film are, "Welcome to the planet. Glad to be here, Lois." Like, he finally feels like he belongs in something, and obviously that's not how life works, and Batman v Superman goes to show that he might feels like he belongs on Earth and that is his world, but obviously the people of Earth do not think that he deserves, that he should be there. If he is there for good, he's doing too much collateral damage. I think that, this film shouldn't be taken on its own. I think everything that this film does, is built upon and made better in the subsequent films. Like every great trilogy, it's a step in a, it's a chapter in a story, and I think it sets. I mean, as it stands right now, this is my favorite of the trilogy. I like this just a little bit more than Batman v Superman, and I really think that it has so much to say about who Superman is, and it really redefines the character. And my God, I would love a Man of Steel too.
Yeah, same. And it's just so amazing to see that on the screen, and the way he delivered. And I wish I had Man of Steel on Blu-ray. So I'm definitely gonna try and get the trilogy in Blu-ray.
Definitely. Well, they will be releasing Batman v Superman remastered, with the IMAX ratio.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love it, but I found out yesterday that I can't play 4K discs on my Xbox, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I've got I don't have an Xbox S.
Oh, yeah. I have an Xbox S.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I'm really upset about that. But I'm gonna find a way for one day.
Everyone. I misled you. I'm so sorry.
But no, one of the things this is like, I feel so sorry for you. You didn't watch Man of Steel at cinema, did you?
Yeah, I didn't, because my dad, he wouldn't let me go and see 12s because
you're a vulnerable child.
But the weird thing is that I didn't go to the cinema as much because I was scared of it, because with the loud sounds.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah,
and like I have autism, and with the loud sounds and high sensitive sounds. But now I got used to it, because with the cinema, with the music I'm used to, or everything, like new sounds.
Imagine watching 1917 when you were younger. That's a loud film. Oh
my God! But so thankfully I watched a lot of films in the cinema to get used to the things, because I used to be really scared of it, but now it's just a place to get your mind off.
I love the cinema and I miss it, but one of my favourite memories was watching Man of Steel at the cinema and coming out and being like, that was amazing. I really, really did love it, and I have so many fond memories of seeing the Zack Snyder films at the cinema, and I really hope they release the Snyder Cut at the cinema at some point. That would be so good. Yeah,
and I just don't get the hate, but
no, me neither.
Yeah. So, what do we give it this film out?
I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think.
Same. 9 out of 10. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Like, it's so close to perfection for me. I just do. I think that, like, for me, I've always been the kind of person who I care so much more about the non-action than the action. And the action at the end, for me, it goes on a little bit.
Yeah,
not to the point where I'm like rolling my eyes, but it just, it could be cut off a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was just a little bit shorter. But
yeah, I think you know how like in the Superman's like fighting these tentacles. That's such a weird scene. Like, you take that out, like, I think I probably would have less problems with it.
Yeah, and that was a little bit weird, but what else? I think 9 out of 10.
Definitely.
I think
I can't wait I can't wait for all the comments telling us that we are shills.
Listen, we are massive fans of Zack Snyder's work, and
Yeah.
And we just love seeing like a director who wants to create films.
Definitely. I really want to watch Sucker Punch and Legends of the Guardians before the Snyder Cut, so I can have watched all the Snyder films.
Yeah, Legends of the Guardians. I love that film.
Yeah, I used to love it.
I wish it was a little bit longer, but
yeah, I don't know where to find that one actually, but I do know that Sucker Punch is the theatrical cut, so not the extended cut, but the theatrical cut is on UK Netflix at the moment.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so if you want to watch, like, anyone in the UK, if you want to watch another Zack Snyder film, that's on there.
Woo. Yeah,
Woo.
And I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, oh no, Man of Steel has this. But we're happy to, discuss stuff.
Yes, leave your opinions in the comments, and email us or DM us, whatever. We are so happy to talk about it.
Or tackle some questions that you...
We're going to tackle you.
Yeah. And so next week, we're going to talk about Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition.
I'm so excited. It's going to be great. Now, let's talk about our weekly viewing segment. What have you watched?
What I've been watching, what have you been watching, or what have you been watching? So, this week, I started to watch a TV show on the Apple TV called Ted Lasso.
Oh my god, I've heard it's so good.
Yeah, it is really good. So I started watching a few episodes, and wow, it is hilarious. It does. I forgot the guy. I was such a
Jason Sudeikis.
Yes, I was about to say shut up. So Jason does really well being as Ted Lasso, and it's just really comical that he did it like the way he does it, like the way he he's an American. Living in Britain and in England, it's just really funny to see how he tries to merge those two things together. Like he gets mixed up with the way football stuff. He tried to, and it's really funny. And I really love it. It's just it's weird though because. It's like you're watching like a drama, like a football drama, but it's hilarious and the way the characters that you see it's funny to see those character interactions and it is unsurprisingly funny because you don't really normally see those in a lot of TV series because normally TV series like Big Bang Theory or I don't know that have like really bad jokes, but this is really funny, so I would recommend this.
Highbrow comedy.
Yeah, comedy.
Yeah,
comedy.
I really want to watch that one.
Yeah, it's really fun. We could watch it because I'm happy to because it's really fun to watch. But I'm happy to we can watch it together with lockdown because I got Apple TV on my TV.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, I thought that would be great. So I haven't waited yet because I'm still watching it because it's fun. So I'll be giving my final review next week. So
brilliant.
Yeah. What have you been watching, man?
I watched Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Right now.
The old one.
No, the Johnny Depp one.
Oh. I get mixed up. I'm so sorry.
Literally, I don't know. Did you watch this as a child? Do you have nostalgic memories over this?
I don't know, but I do have child nostalgia for the old one, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the old one with
Gene Wilder.
Yeah,
yes.
The one.
Right.
That one, that was like a horror one, but I feel like that's a bit...
right, so that one...
Which I really liked, because it was more a musical, I believe.
Yes, it definitely was. I've read the book, I've seen the stage play, I've seen both of the films, and I have to say, I've never been a huge fan of the film. It used to scare me as a kid. I've never gone back to it, I'm sure it's great and all, but I have so many. I love Tim Burton's the way that Tim Burton, imagines the world of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with such a grandiose and heightened like reality. I think it's amazing. I mean, there were some like dated like special effects, but I love the film so much. I think all the music. There's the main 4 songs with the Oompa Loompas, and I think they're absolutely wonderful. With their like music and I think all the kids are very, very well cast. You got that one kid who was in everything. He was he's now in like he was in like a Psycho prequel series which is like going on now. Like, he was in everything. He plays Charlie, and you got like Johnny Depp. I think obviously I love the whole like Gene Wilder like extravagant kind of Willy Wonka, but I also love, and to a greater extent, the Johnny Depp total weirdo. I think he has so many hilarious lines, and I think the whole way that they imagine the reality of the chocolate factory with so many quirky things, and the way that it's like there are science labs and there's like the whole like like kind of garden like forest kind of place with the waterfall, and it's all made out of chocolate. They just take things from the book and they put it straight in my brain. And then you have the whole backstory of Willy Wonka that they explore with Christopher Lee playing his dad. I think it's an absolutely wonderful film. It gives me so many nostalgic memories. The music is absolutely bloody stunning. I don't understand how Danny Elfman can make such a good score for for that film, for Batman, for Spider-Man, and then just such a bad score for Justice League. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's absolutely wonderful. One of my favourite films, and it holds up. I was so happy that it holds up. I still have very little complaints about it. Some crummy CGI, but other than that, I loved it. Have you been watching anything else this week?
So I started watching Futurama.
Oh right, yes, it's on Disney Plus, isn't it?
Yeah, so
nice.
I'm having a blast watching it. So weirdly, I think everyone knows the story of Futurama, but like the start of it. But I did not know this. Fry wakes up in the year 3000 because he was in a cryogenic thing. Because I did not know that, because I thought, oh, there's a character in the future, because I didn't watch many Futurama episodes because I didn't know what was going on because I was younger. But I'm watching it and it's just great. So season 1 has 9 episodes, which was strange because
really?
I thought, oh, all right. So but there's more seasons, so I'm going to be watching. But so it is very.
How many seasons are there?
Sorry.
How many seasons are there? 7.
Oh,
that's not bad actually.
Because
I know that it has a definitive ending, unlike the Simpsons, which just got renewed for season 35.
Oh yeah. So it's a very different TV show, and I really love it because it's like the Simpsons, but like on a very funny level, because it takes like jokes and it just like brings gags, and it's funny. I'm watching 2 funny things. What else? Oh yeah, there's another thing I watched, but I will talk about in a bit. The way that Fry like works with the characters, because he just woke up in the year 3000, and what else? It's just like I think the creator did work on Futurama and The Simpsons.
Yes, Matt Groening. I don't know if you've seen Disenchantment, but that's the show that he made for Netflix. It's like
you watched it, didn't you?
Yeah, I have. It's pretty good. I've kind of lost interest in it as it's gone by, but I think that's kind of the case of a lot of TV shows.
Yeah, but Futurama, I think that is like the show that I'm really enjoying right now, because it's funny, and there's a lot of stuff that is really powerful in it that some people miss, but I feel like that's really good to see the stuff that you need to see in the show. I'm not making sense, but the other thing that I really passionately want to talk about that I watched. Have you watched anything else?
No.
Okay. So this is going to be the final weekly viewing that I watched. Logan.
Oh man, I love it.
But I watched it in noir.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, this was a different experience, and well, I watched the films like a couple of times, and
Wait, are you gonna delve into spoilers here?
I'm not going to delve into spoilers because it is a very depressing film.
People, if you haven't seen the X-Men films, if you haven't seen Logan, watch them. Most of them are on Disney Plus. Like, please, they're so good. Logan's amazing.
Logan, I personally believe that Logan's the best X-Men film, but
Definitely.
You think X-Men 2 is?
Well, no, I used to think X-Men 2, and then I rewatched Logan, and I was like, Tom, you're an idiot. You're a stupid idiot. And then I was like, okay, yeah, Logan's definitely the best.
Oh, you changed?
Yeah, right. It's Logan and then First Class for me.
So Logan. So, where to begin? So, it's different because it's in black and white, obviously, because it's a noir, and it's just so depressing to watch it in black and white, and it's just like normally in noir films it's just but maybe depressing, but it's like an investigation, like detective, like those old style Hitchcock detective, like, you know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean.
But with Logan, because it's weird because it merges so well with the noir, and it's so weirdly entertaining to watch in black and white, and it's just so devastating to watch because like there are some moments that I was like, wow, this is so perfect for black and white, and the scenes that I'm talking about, those are the things that and the cinematography with the black and white is also phenomenal because it's just so aesthetically pleasing as well. Like watching 300, but 300 is more aesthetically pleasing to watch. I think
Logan, if I could just interject, I think Logan's one of the films where the way that it looks, the aesthetics, the cinematography really adds to the sense of bleakness.
Yeah, and I feel like I feel like that Logan takes on a depressing note on a character that he's been living for centuries, and I feel like that Logan is the darkest character, like the darkest comic book character, because like everything that he's been through like 2 world wars, the Cold War.
Definitely. Well, I think one of the best scenes in X-Men Origins is the beginning, where it shows Logan fighting through all the wars.
Yeah,
I think that's a great scene.
Yeah, and the things that he's seen through, he's seen his friends die, he sees his girlfriend die, and it's just really depressing to see. It's really depressing to think about a man who has been through a lot of pain, and he wants to let that go, but he lets. And I'm not going to spoil it, but the way the film ends is just powerful, and you just think about the character on a different perspective, and it's just I'm not going to spoil it, but the music is just I forgot the music. It is very Western. Also, Logan is a Western film, and that MCU type of style, because the way that MCU, Fox MCU, before Disney bought Fox, it did really well because it had.
Did you hear? I think I heard a report that they're starting pre-production on an X-Men film, but they're calling it The Mutants.
Right. So Logan is a Western film, and we got Deadpool as a comedy film. And then the New Mutants, but back then it was a horror film. Is it a horror film still?
It has horror elements in it.
Yeah, So like with horror, because that's really good, because with comic book you find a way of challenging those genres onto a comic book movie, because comic book movies are very hard to tackle through, because you think about the characters, you think about the genre, but the way that James Mangold merged with the Western genre with Logan, and he takes that on a realistic approach, thinking about the characters that he's been, that Logan been through, and thinking about Laura, the character, and Professor Xavier, and it's just really sad to see. But also, it takes on a hopeful insight, and the way. I love the character developments between Logan and Laura, and it's just like the family scene together, and the antagonist. I thought that was well done. I think the antagonist. The antagonist is the son. Sorry. That the robotic hand and being like being a fan of Logan and Doctor Xavier and Mr. Xavier or Doctor Xavier.
Professor Xavier.
Oh, John, you're an idiot. Professor Xavier. Sorry, the film's just taken me like a depressing note, but I haven't watched it for a while. But Wells. And the film just finishes, has a great conclusion to the X-Men saga, and it's just a great send off to Hugh Jackman, the actor who's been playing Wolverine for years, and I would recommend you to watch it in the wild because it's just powerful, and the performance that these actors deliver on a very personal level. So I give this film a 10.
Definitely. I mean, what he said, I agree. But it's interesting that you brought up Logan, because I just want to say, I'll say something that I watched quite recently as well, is I watched The Wolverine, right?
The Wolverine.
So The Wolverine is nowhere near as good as Logan. I think everyone knows that. But I just kind of threw it away in my mind. I watched it when I was younger. I really liked it, but I was kind of like, it's fine. It's not that good. I rewatched it. No. It's very good. Okay, it's really
very good.
It's really, really let down by the ending. You know, the ending becomes this kind of like CGI mess of a superhero film, as so many superhero films do. The secondary antagonist is literally the worst. Viper. Oh my god, she's so boring. But it's a really interesting story about Logan coming to terms with what happened in X-Men: The Last Stand, and what I love about it is how it spends a whole film dealing with the events of that film, which is what so many superhero films should do. Like Iron Man 3, it deals with Tony's like PTSD after Avengers, and that's what the Wolverine does so well. And it takes it back. You see like how Logan has changed since he was in World War II, in Nagasaki, I think it is. Where the bomb dropped, how his past decisions influences him, and there's some great action and some great set pieces and some really like intense stuff, and how he finds like solace and peace in like a new love, but eventually has to let it go because he knows that's the nature of his life. It's you see James Mangold doing things that he will later excel at in Logan, and he sets the stage for Logan so well. And since you were talking about Logan, and I agree completely with what you're saying, I think that the Wolverine, I mean, X-Men Origins, total dog shit, but the Wolverine does have a lot to say, and I do think it deserves a lot more recognition.
Yeah, and Logan, weirdly, because usually comic book films are very hard to make them as masterpieces, but the way that Logan is just a cinematic masterpiece, and if you've been watching like X-Men films, you've been growing up watching them, and it's just a powerful film, and Mangold did it so well.
I can't wait for Indiana Jones. Off the back of James Mangold doing this other films, I'm very excited to see how he tackles Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah, so I have faith in him. He will do it.
Me 2. Right, and that is it for us this week. Quite a long episode, but thank you everyone for watching. You know, as always, if you enjoyed yourself, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. We're going to be doing Batman v Superman and Justice League next week.
Woo!
We are extremely, well, not Justice League, we're going to be doing Justice League the week after that, but we're doing Batman v Superman next week, and we're extremely excited about it. You know, leave a comment, you know, tell us what your thoughts on anything that we discussed here. Tell us, did you like WandaVision? Are you excited for the Snyder Cut?
Yeah.
Man of Steel, what your thoughts? Or about Logan or Ted Lasso, Charlie and Top, any of that stuff. You know, leave us an email as well, and you know, we'll read it out if you email us in, and we will, you know, respond to your questions or your opinions, anything like that. Anything you want to say before we leave?
Be safe. Wear a mask. Things are nearly getting better.
They're gradually, ever so slightly getting up there.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. And this has been a great episode to discuss Man of Steel, and I'm very excited to discuss more of Batman v Superman next week and what yet to come of the Snyder Cut.
Tell me, do you bleed? You will! And then you play the Batman theme from... Okay.
Okay, that's a real moment.
Thank you. Comedy.
Oh, yes, comedy.
Just call me Comedy Tom.
Bleed.
Oh, and of course, if you want to get in contact with us, we're at ousetimefilmpod@gmail.com and ousetimefilmpod at Instagram and Twitter. I'm Tom the Bourbon on Twitter.
I am ComedyJohn42 on Twitter.
And without a further ado, take what you're given.
Give nothing back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.